Well, welcome if you're just joining us. We are in Cogne in northwest Italy for round 8 of the FIS Cross Country World Cup Tour. The qualification round for today's team sprints is well underway, and Laura Gimler of Germany paired up with Ridsek of Germany, who will be going shortly, currently holding the quickest time coming across the line. So that is an on-form team, having had good results last week and good results last time we got together for a team sprint that was out in Davos just before Christmas. So the Germans looking at the moment to be on pretty good form. So Laura Gimler just under a second quicker than Hagström of Sweden, Amundsen of Norway in third, and Parmakoski in fourth and fifth is also a Finn, Niskanen. So that just gives you a sense of where we're up to at the moment. Fairly big gap back to seventh with Anja Weber of Switzerland. As Bacardi comes across the line, the local athlete. That isn't a brilliant time for Bacardi in last place, 16th as it stands. Here comes Bianco of the USA. 15-second interval between these athletes setting off in qualification, so you can get a sense of how far that would look. But I suspect Achleitner of Austria the time will tumble away now for bib number 18. Tuva Bygrave of Australia, where is she? She's just appeared. Here she comes. The time is not going to be so good for the Australian. So, just to clarify the process for today, 42 competitors participating in qualification, and actually 21 teams, though it is only 15 nations, but 6 nations have 2 teams participating. That's Finland, Sweden, Germany, Norway, Italy, and Estonia have 2 teams participating. Estonia in 10th and 11th. Kaidi Kasiku, she's paired off with her sister Kidi, who will be going off in just a few minutes' time. But at the moment, they're sitting reasonably comfortably in 11th. Of course, the first round of qualifications done as a time trial, changed to last year where they used to qualify as a team. Now they qualify as individuals, just like they do in the individual sprints, which is a much, much better and arguably much fairer way of qualifying, and actually more exciting for us, I think. Only 15 of the 21 teams will go through to the finals later on. Tomacheva of Kazakhstan, presumably glad to get that out of the way, but 33 seconds down on Laura Gimler is a long way back, so unlikely to qualify. However good Kimbayeva performs in just a few minutes' time. So 15th place, 11 seconds down. Czechia gives you a sense of what is expected. Of course, if the time of the first qualifier is beyond that, and the second qualifier is a stunning result, and often the athletes that go second in many ways are the quicker athletes, because they are the athletes who will race into the finish later on in the finals. So Hagström of Sweden currently in second place overall, but in first is Laura Gimler wearing bib number 6, paired off with Ridsek of Germany. Here's the start list then for the second round of qualification races. Niskanen and Parmakoski of Finland, the first 2 to get away. Maja Dahlqvist in bib number 3, Lotte Udnesveng of Norway in 5, you will have spotted. Raced well last week in Gedin, and this week we'll be enjoying some of the benefits of racing, spending 10 days at altitude, which is about long enough to get the benefit. The impact on your heart and lungs, your cardiovascular system, does take a little bit of time, and often on the World Cup circuit we just don't have the time. So keen interest from the Italian supporters, but sitting in 18th place is Maccardi of Italy, but further up the field in 6th place from Katarina Gans. We're in bib number 7. They are in 6th place, so that bodes well for the local crowds. Now it really depends on how well next racer for Italy, can she back up, well, make up for, I guess, relatively poor performance from Boccardi. It's Lucia Bisoni of Italy going off in bib number 15. So, first to go in a second, one of the on-form and most consistent athletes of the season so far, especially when it comes to sprinting, the powerhouse that is Finland's Jasmi Joensuu, right from day one back in Ruka. I think it was the last day of November, actually, some time ago now. But Joensuu has shown that she will be up near the top of the World Cup sprint standings this season for the whole season, and not far off, certainly on the front page of the overall World Cup standings. So we get to see Joensuu come out of the gate. The clock is running now. She'll be chased by Yasmin Kahara. 1.33 kilometre loop. The first part of this loop, flat, obviously, out of the start gate. Then it drops away to about 500 metres. Then you start climbing 1, 2, 3, 4 hills to get over in a relatively short little loop. The sun has come out this morning. First thing, it was a little overcast, but everyone now really pleased, and the conditions for Classic just about perfect. Headbands on that tell you it is warm out there. As we see, Lisa Lohmann of Germany team number 2. Next will be Lotte Udnesveng in that red suit from the front and blue from the back of Norway. Lotte Udnesveng on form last week, looking really strong. Good start from Lotte. Next is Ridzek going second for Germany, team 1. Currently, teammate Laura Gimler is in first place, or at least with the quickest time. Next to go, Federica Casol of Italy. Listen to the crowd. So it'd be good if we could stay now with Ridzek to have a look at the course. It's flat to start with. That doesn't mean you can take it easy. It drops away initially, a little bit like it does in Ruka out at World Cup 1. And you have to work the initial part of this downhill. It's very, very short rest, 10 seconds at the most, to just rebuild in the lungs before you hit the bend, and then the work starts proper. Back into the tracks, little opportunity to skate around the corner, but those red markers indicating where you must then be back into diagonal Classic work. And it's a steady climb with a few drops, really nothing to speak of in terms of steepness. 1 or 2 slightly steeper areas, but little change of track for Ridzek as she comes up possibly over the steepest part of the course, an artificial little hill as we come over the bridge, and everyone at that point pretty much breaking into that slightly awkward herringbone style to get over there. If the wax helps you run up there perfectly, then it might be too sticky when it comes to the downhills, especially when we hit the shade, as the temperature of the snow drops 1 or 2 degrees. So Rydzek, 1 minute and 12 seconds into her qualifying, and she comes up over the next of the artificial little hills. She won't be thanking the course organisers for these. They are a little interruption to your stride, but she bends back round now. 53 seconds to come across the line to better Jonsu's time, which is well, it's a second, nearly 2 seconds faster than Laura Gimler, who went in round 1. But we'd expect that from Jonsu. Rydzek now starting to feel the impact of that lactic acid. She's been working hard now for over 2.5 minutes. And so I think an 800 meter, if you can do it in a minute, which is about as fast as I can run 400, so twice round at that speed. Boy, the lactic is painful. And that is Lotte Udnes-Veng just crossing the line. We'll stay with Rydzek just to get a sense of where you need to be coming into the home straight. Bib number 6 started 15 seconds behind Lotte Udnes-Veng, so she will be a little slower than Veng for sure. Rydzek 9 seconds and 65 slower than Jonsu. And Kassel comes across the line. We can hear the crowd appreciating that. That was a good result. Here comes Moët Lindgren of Sweden again. So Rydzek, the time will be good enough paired with Gimler for Norway, Germany, forgive me, to go through. Lundgren comes through 12th quickest. Here's Canton of France, lives up and comes from Le Grand Bonand, so spends much of her time living in the thinner air of altitude. On par with Rydzek, slightly quicker. Here's Kidi, I should say, Kasiku, twin sister of Kidi, who is one of the 2 teams representing Estonia today. 19th quickest. We'll start to get a sense as the computer adds these times together for us. Ansova of Czechia looking pretty good. Comes across the line 6. Next is Alina Meyer of Switzerland, another athlete who lives at altitude over in Davos. And last time we had this event was out in Davos. Of course, that was a freestyle version of this. And we'll have the third and final version of the team sprint this year, actually, out in Trondheim. I think it's on the 4th of March, so a little time to go. And that will be Classic 2. So Finland, Jonsu particularly, will be thrilled at that. The Finns, well known for their brilliant classic style preference. I think that's a generalization, but certainly is generally true. So here's 2 of Estonia, the second. Team 2, Estonia, comes across 16 seconds down in 31st place. Take the average. You need 2 people on average inside the top 15 to qualify, but only 21 teams racing today, so only 6 of these pairings will fail to go any further and start the final races, which is head-to-head racing a little later on. Albrecht of USA coming across the line now, and 13:67. We'll have to wait and see. Currently sitting in 14th as a team. Estonia 2 at risk of being pushed down, and they are. So Austria Schurz comes across the line, and as it stands, occupies that 15th combined time. So Estonia 2 go down. Italy 2 are out, as are Poland. Rosie Fordham of Australia, a youngster under 23, will probably be competing next week in the Junior World Championships. So in some ways, perfect prep for her. The times are not good, sadly, but nevertheless a great opportunity to really have a quality tempo session, let's call it, even if it does only last about 3 minutes. Oleg of Ukraine, bib number 20, and then we have Kimbayeva of Kazakhstan, the last to start and will be the last to finish. The lactic showing in Kimbayeva's pace. It's not going to work for Kazakhstan. They will be down in 21st place. So, top 15 to qualify. Austria just scraping in there. Under a second between 15th and 16th place, after we take into account the combined scores of both rounds of qualifying. So that's the women sprint qualification concluded. Finland end up in first place. Norway, Italy won. The crowd will be pleased. Sweden won in fourth place. Austria, United States and Germany holding their breath as they saw the last of the qualifiers come through the home straight. Switzerland too, with Anja Weber and Alina Meyer. Pretty good pairing, especially when it comes to the head-to-head racing a little later on. Less to do with the time you ski and all about tactics, racing in a reasonably big bunch. 15 athletes will start a little later on, but Italy looking good as it stands. Katerina Gans and Federica Cassol, we're just seeing, who clearly that didn't cost her everything. If you can pause to turn your heart rate monitor off as you cross the line, then the lactic not causing so much pain. Norway in second place, wearing the red bib as they lead the team competition, but possibly the favourites for today. Kerttu Niskanen and Jasmi Jönsu of Finland looking strong. And we'll switch now to the men's qualification. The athletes just getting ready in the start area. Well, it's good to be back in Cogne. It's been a while. Many of you will remember that incredible weekend in February 2019 when the quiet little village here was invaded by the FIS Cross Country World Cup Tour. Athletes, support staff, organisers, bus drivers, media, and of course the public who turned up to watch what really was an incredible few days of competition back in 2019. Here we go, a little confirmation. These are the numbers they'll be wearing later. 15 teams all starting together. One big mass start race, and that will be happening here on digital and on Eurosport live at 13:20 here in Italy, 12:20 of course UK time. Now let's switch to the men. Elibar of Italy is paired off with Pellegrino. That is a good team. Of course, this really matters to them. They were a pair out in Davos and just missed out on a medal before Christmas in that last team sprint competition. And Sweden just pipping them to the line. 68 athletes participating, 22 nations, but 34 teams. So 12 nations with 2 teams racing, including Italy. Here's Elliot Barb, youngster. I'm wondering, he's doing so well at the moment that he's probably torn between going to represent Italy at the Junior World Championships next week, which of course are in Italy, or actually heading up to Sweden, Falun, for the last World Cup before the World Championships. Ivo Niskanen of Finland, not typically a sprinter, but without doubt one of the best classic skiers on the planet. Beautiful technique and a real fighter, paired off with Lauri Virtanen, both of them on pretty good form. We're going to stay, I think, with Ivo as he heads down the hill. 7, 8 pushes before he crests that little bit of a hill and gets, 10, 15 seconds of recovery after what is only about 30 seconds of poling. Start to get a sense of the times. We should get some split times at, I will at least, at 0.6 of a kilometre, and give you a sense of how things are going. Riebli, bib number 6, just out of the start gate. That is a strong pairing. Riebli paired with Valerio Grand. They've stayed together all season as a duo and have been racing brilliantly individually in the sprint races. Last week in Switzerland, in the beautiful Engadin Valley, they were phenomenally good. And of course, medalists the last time we had a team sprint race over in Davos. Niskanen now, as he approaches another one of these artificial little hills, goes into that herringbone to just 3 or 4 steps quickly over the top of that. That looked good. Niskanen, though, my timings, unless he's pacing it brilliantly, at 0.6 kilometres, he's about 0.2 of a second down on Evan Northug, who set off just after him. Won't catch him, no chance of that with a 15-second gap on such a small loop. But Niskanen not needing to get the quickest time of the day, and with Lauri Virtanen, surely they're going to qualify. But at the moment, we are watching the slowest of the 5 people to come past the 0.6 kilometre marker. Evan Northug the quickest. He is wearing bib number 1. So he will have finished, I suspect, before Niskanen does, of course. So 5 seconds to cross the line to get across in front of Elliot Barb. Does that. So here comes Northug. Got my numbers mixed up there. He's going to go ahead of the Finn and the Italian. It's going to be tight, but Northug, having not qualified last week individually in Engadin on Saturday, a bit of a surprise there. Here's Schumacher, who's paired with Schoonmaker of the USA. This is good. Just snatches the green light from Norway. Jules Chapaz of France, again paired with Juve, the French. Both teams sticking with the recipe that has worked for them in their pairings so far this year. So Chapaz and Juve. Now then, Riebli. What can Riebli do today? He's been on brilliant form. Be interesting to see whether he can match that kind of form he has in skating with Classic. Goes into 4th with 6 athletes across the line. Hakala of Finland. This is going to be a little further down, but I think quicker than Team 1 of Finland. 8 athletes to cross the line now. Remy Baudin in 8th, nearly 6 seconds down. That's a reasonably big gap. Halvarsson of Sweden looking good. Next is Brugge of Germany, one of the nations that has 2 teams in this race. The time is not great. May find himself down in 10th place. Just about, I think he does. Next is Graal Johnson of Canada. Team 1, Canada, they have 2 teams racing. Some brilliant results coming from Canada's women. No women's race from Canada, no team from Canada in this race this week. Many of them are young athletes and just having a conservative week, probably preparing for the Junior World Championships next week, where they will be a team to watch. Canada's team looking pretty strong. Here comes Tag Ball of Norway. Norway's team 2. He's racing with Ansgar Evensen. Not a bad time. 34 teams in this, only 15 teams to go through, so like the women's field, which is much smaller. Jaeger of USA, and next will be Seller of Czechia. Good tempo, looking strong. Behind him, Helvega of Italy. Has he been cheered on by the crowd? It's a little quiet in the home straight here. A lot of children over the barrier here, not particularly making a lot of noise. Helvega down into 12th. We'll have to wait and see. Dominic Burry of Poland is next, but the gap is already pretty big. We can see that from just the view looking down this finish straight. It's going to be another 3 or 4 seconds before he crosses the line. So Poland with work to do as they drop down into 17th place. Simonic of Slovakia. They have 2 teams racing. This is Kilp, actually. Forgive me. Here comes Simonic. Team number 19. Time is okay. Goes off with Stern, who is a young team member. Julian Smith now of Canada. Well, he's got about 3 seconds from here, so it's going to be about 8 seconds. And now 6 seconds-ish is the time. 5 seconds really to beat. Kalev of Estonia. And next to come across the line is Gab Gledhill of the UK. He's got a tough day, only his 5th World Cup start ever. Come on, Gabriel, let's get through to the finals. Fortunately for him, he's paired with the rapid James Clooney. 11 seconds, so James is really going to have to pull out all the stops later on if we're going to get a British team in the finals later on. But 11 seconds down on Gus Schumacher of the USA, who currently holds the quickest time, is respectable for the young Brit. We're crossing our fingers for you, Gab. Hinkfuss crosses the line. Fottinger of Austria now. What can he do? So a lot of teams occupying those that second or so that separates 10th and 15th place. So here's the Romanian Florian Robert Dolascu, and another 7 or 8 athletes to come across the line. So only 15 teams to qualify. Lissahor of Ukrainian clearly up on Dolascu's time, but is it going to be quick enough? Karpekelis of Latvia now. Is this going to prove to be quick enough? So the numbers tumble away as we get down to the last 5 athletes. Honiak of Slovakia, team 2. Both teams seeded quite late down. They're in bib number 29 and 33. So gives you a sense of whether they are expected to qualify today. And so far, not looking so good. Sultan Bazarbekov, I should say. This isn't bad. 11:13, just goes ahead of Gab Gledhill of Great Britain. We going to keep an eye on his position, but James really has got his work to do. Gontar, bib number 31. Adam Cogne of Hungary will be next. And then just 2 more athletes to finish as we conclude the first round of the men's team sprint qualification. Cogne comes through. Denis Teliš of Slovakia is not far behind him, but already the gap. He's made up time on the Hungarian, but it isn't good enough. And Bentley Walker-Bruce of Australia is the last to come across the line. It's going to be about 14 seconds, I think, so maybe even a little more, and isn't going to feature, sadly, a little later on. Way too much work, I suspect, for De Campo of Australia, forgive me, a little later on. So we have our first 3, Schumacher, Chapaz and Northug, representing USA, France and Norway. Halvorsen, not a bad time from a man who's not typically a sprinter, I should say, from Sweden. Yannick Riebly in 5th. Slovenia 1 and Canada holding their breath. Great Britain down in 26th place. So a big ask for James Clune. And we'll see. He was disappointed last week in the individual sprints out in Engadin, James, not to qualify, but we'll see on his day. James able to outski most of the best in the world. So Evan Northug already qualified for the Norwegian team for the sprint races in Trondheim next month. Those sprint races will be in the classic style on the 4th of March, I believe. Jules Chapaz of France paired off with Richard Jouve, 2 powerful sprinters. Watch them later on. They can really power on the pressure when it comes to the finals. And Gus Schumacher, once again, the Americans showing, as Ben Ogden did last week, that they can sit at the top of the list when it comes to sprinting. So great result from Schumacher. He sets the pace. Here we have the start list. This is actually a repeat of the start list we had earlier on. As you can see, Gab Gledhill of Great Britain going off number 1 for team 22 of Great Britain. And now we see the second runners. Pellegrino of Italy going off. Larry Vuorinen and Eric Valnes. No Clabo today. Said on Sunday when he won out in Engadin that he would just make his mind up in the next couple of days based on how he was feeling, whether he would race here in Cogne. Has clearly decided not to race today, and we just have to wait and see whether the Norwegian star will be competing tomorrow as an individual. I suspect not, actually, but I'm happy to be proved wrong. Delighted, actually. It'd be good to see him tomorrow. Here's Pellegrino. So Pellegrino and Elliot Barp, 4th in Davos. The difference is this is home snow, and add to the fact that last week they failed to get a medal, largely due to which of the two that crossed the line in third place had the biggest big toe, and it proved to be, stands to reason really, it was Edwin Anger, who is probably the biggest athlete on the circuit. Just pipped Pellegrino. His shoulders dropped as he saw the results of the photo finish last week. In some ways, that disappointment will only feed the furnace that is inside this Italian star who loves to race in the sprint races. Doesn't have to be freestyle. He enjoys both. Not certain, but I guess if we look back through all of the records, we might see that freestyle has been his favoured technique. But in the absence of Anger and Chanavar today not racing, and of course Clabo, well, in their absence, Pellegrino naturally rises up. The cream comes to the top, and assuming he's still on good form and feeling healthy, he may well produce the quickest time so far when he finishes, potentially quicker than the 34 athletes that have already raced over the qualification tracks. Away he goes, grits his teeth, works hard out of the start gate. 100 meters of flat out double poling, as quick, as high a tempo as he can muster before he gets a short break in about 5 seconds. Quick little bit of skating turn, but as soon as those tracks appear again, he has to go into diagonal skis. Started resting earlier than we saw Nortug earlier on, so that could suggest he's got good skis, or he's being a little complacent. We'll get a sense in a second of how well he's doing. Obviously goes off bib number 1, so no one from this round of qualification to compare him with. So we'll see how we get on time-wise. 2:42, the time to beat from the USA's Gus Schumacher. Pellegrino just about managing to stay in that dynamic double pole. We don't tend to see much double pole with a kick these days, not in the sprint racing at least. It tends to go from one extreme to the other, at least double poling into two-phase or diagonal gate, or occasionally with those little bumps as we just saw there coming over these artificial hills. Listen to the crowd. They love Pellegrino. He's a star here, and surely will be featuring in 12 months' time when it comes to the Olympic Games here in Italy. That's got to be his focus. For now, it's about this race today and getting ready for the sprint finals in Trondheim a month from now. Pellegrino wearing the Italian flag, paired up with Elia Barp once again, and looking to secure Italy a win today. First, he's got to qualify. That should be fairly straightforward. We're following Pellegrino for the whole of his 3 minutes or 2, probably 40-odd seconds. And we'll update you on how things are going once the camera switches back to the start. But lovely to be able to watch the whole of Federico's qualification. He's in the home straight now, about 50 meters to go. Schumacher 2:42. Well, it's not going to beat that time. It's going to be about 4 seconds outside of that, actually. 4.5 seconds. Now then, that's interesting. Next to come across the line is Vuorinen of Finland. And this is good. It's ahead of Pellegrino. And then we've got Erik Valnes racing for Team Norway, Team 1. Valnes, this is going to be good. He's going to be a couple of seconds inside Schumacher's time. Schoonmaker is paired up with Schumacher, and this is going to be slower than his teammates' time earlier on. 4 or 5 seconds outside, but probably confident of qualifying and maybe saving something for later. Richard Jouve heading into the finish now. This is going to be 2 or 3 seconds over. Valero Grand within sight. Valerio looking strong, and this is looking like it will be the quickest time of qualifying so far. Just is going to get inside with a green light. Johnny Mackie of Finland nowhere to be seen at this point, so that is not looking good for Finland Team 2. And Renard J may have even caught sight of Johnny Mackie. We'll see Renard J come into view in a second. There he is. This is looking good for the Frenchman, Team 2 of France. Looks to me as if we're going to have 2 French sprint teams in the final. Well, actually, the times tumble away. 6:29 puts him into 20th place. And once we have several finishers, see Svensson coming in with a reasonably good time. Jan Stobel of Germany will be next. So we're starting now to see on the left the graphics. The sums being worked out for us, which is very, very helpful. And France Team 2 sitting in 9th place. A decent margin between, well, 7th and 4th. So Italy won, actually. Reasonable margin. Here comes Anton Cyr of Canada. Wearing bib number 11. And just behind him, this is good, Mans Skoglund of Sweden. No Edvin Anger, but Sweden have put in another strong team. And that is a pretty good result. Here's Evensen of Norway, who is paired with Tagbol, I believe. Yes, Team 13. So Evensen comes through. They qualify quite comfortably. Here's Zach Ketterson. No Ben Ogden today, so Zach Ketterson racing for Norway, forgive me, USA Team 2. Andre Cherney, he's been sprinting well in recent weeks, and this looks good for the Chechen team, and it needed to be. That puts them into 3rd. That's a very good result from Czechia. Morcellini of Italy have the crowd giving him just a little extra. It's looking pretty good. That is an excellent result for Italy Team 2. Stariga of Poland now. Well, Poland struggling a little bit, and I think they're going to struggle to qualify today. Don't think we're going to have a Polish team in the final. Martin Himner of Estonia, not far behind. I think Estonia qualified 2 teams in the women's field earlier on. What is Himner doing? Well, I think it's not looking great. No, they're going to 17th place. So France 2 and Finland 2 holding their breath, and Germany 1 at the moment. My word, they are at risk of going out, and they do. So France 2 hoping now. Here's Graham Ritchie of Canada. Can he deny France a second team in the final? No, he doesn't. They're down in 19th place. Henry Roos of Estonia. How about Estonia's Team 2 for the men? Again, it's not going to be good enough. I don't think they're going to be about 17 seconds down. They are in total. Now, here's James Clooney. How has he done? Well, sadly, it's not going to be good enough. I don't think that is going to leave the UK out of contention for team sprint final later on. But hats off to them. Good effort Team UK. Brandner of Germany, likewise, it's not going to be good enough. Next to come into the finish is Lars Young-Vik of Australia. Look at those numbers, disappeared. 25, 27, 29, 35. And that is the end of Australia Team 1's day, down in 22nd place. Pepin of Romania, well, his first runner was just not good enough. Actually, this was Austria that was coming through there. Bib number 25. Here's Pepin, and a long way to go for the Romanian to get across the line. So currently we have Slovenia 2 have pushed out France Team 2, who will not compete later. Surprised to see Germany 1 are also out of contention. This is Niks Solitis of Latvia, just not going to be quick enough, and I just don't think there's anyone else out there that can challenge now Slovenia 1. So no France Team 2 racing today. So Renaud G and Remy Bourdon, sadly, can now sit out the rest of the afternoon and turn their attention to tomorrow's individual sprints, which will be also in the classic style, so at least they've had an opportunity to test out this course. Gross just pushes the GB duo down into 50, or Gledhill at least, into 52nd place overall, and out of the top 23 teams. A couple more teams to finish. I think looks to me like Buki may have even been passed. He has, and this is 33. Adamov of Slovakia goes ahead of him, so about 16 seconds quicker than Buki, having come past him. And here's De Campo of Australia, the last qualifier to start in the men's qualification rounds this morning, and Australia sadly also join Great Britain on the bench for the rest of today. Valero Grande of Sweden with the quickest individual time today. Eric Valnes contributes to that quickest time for Norway overall, and Czechia in third. Andrei Cherny with a brilliant qualification round, only 2 seconds slower than Valerio Grande. Slovenia 1 just surviving, 10 seconds, 38 down on the Norwegians. Great Britain down in 24th, 10 teams behind them. At least they can take some consolation from that. No major surprises. Disappointment for Great Britain, but no major surprises. Well, we can turn our attention now to later on and the team sprint finals. You can see that on all of our digital platforms and, of course, on Eurosport. Starting 12:20 in the UK and 13:20 here in northwest Italy in the sunshine. Good to see the Vorlaufers back out skiing over this course, just getting it lovely for later on. when we'll be going head-to-head in the classic team sprint finals. 15 teams from the women's field and 15 teams from the men's field, all starting together. It really is a sensational race to watch, and we hope you'll join us later on for that. The crowds will thicken as more and more people come out into the sunshine here in Cogne, and hopefully that sun will stay. Certainly not going to be obscured by clouds today, but there will come a point a little later on where it will dip behind these huge mountains that surround us here.
And Walker kind of have to.
Literally go straight up from the little village of Cogne. And these tracks, hopefully, it's cold enough here for them to stay in good condition. Really good job made of the course. It's one of the courses a little like in the Engadin Valley, where wherever you are in this little bowl, you can see the whole race, which makes it lovely to watch. Davos does the same as Engadin does, but in Davos they do it by sending you around the course twice. So you see the whole thing from anywhere within the stadium. And of course, Davos was the last time we had a team sprint race there this season. That was won by Klæbo and Goldberg, neither of them racing today. Third quickest to qualify, the Chechen pair with Andrei Cherney, who is on such great form. Watch out for him then as we move towards the World Championships. Once again, the duo, the dynamic duo from Switzerland, Yannick Riebli and Valerio Gron. They have partnered together even when we've been watching the individual sprints. They seem to have been a duo, but quickest today, Evan Northug, who didn't qualify at all last week, and Erik Valnes of Norway. The team for the sprint races in